Good afternoon, everybody. We are here at 55 Blossom Drive, Lane, something. We are going to do a repair assessment or shingle repairability assessment of a damaged shingle on the front slope. You can see this is the front slope here. This is the front slope here. There's a little bit of snow left over from about a week ago. We had some light snow up here, so that's a little bit shady area. But our rooftop thermometer or temperature gauge showed us at a nice pleasant 48 degrees. That was about 45 minutes ago. It is warming up as well, so it actually might be closer to 50 right now. But regardless, it is a nice pleasant day. What we're going to do is we're going to pull this damaged shingle out and put in a new shingle. I have my new shingle up there on the ridge. We'll get that in just a minute. We're going to pull that out. In order to do that, I'll walk you through the procedure briefly. You break the seals along the shingles. So that one is damaged, so that seal is already broken. You break the seals along the others if they're not already broken from the storm. And then on the 2 rows of shingles above it, and then you pull the nails. Let me sit down here. And you pull the nails that are fastening in. And now there's nails here, and there's nails there. That's why you break the seal here and there. There's adhesive strip here, and there's an adhesive strip there. That's why we break the seals there. Once the seals are broken and the nails are out, the shingle should is the operative word, should just slide right on out. At that point, then we bring our new shingle in, we slide it in, and then we attach our nails and our fasteners to fasten the shingle in. One step we're not going to do on camera. It does take a lot of time to do it properly, so and it's not necessarily part of the repairability assessment, is hand sealing. You take a dollop, that's a little big, you take a dollop of roof cement and you put it under each of those tabs. That really helps seal it down. Now, just a word of caution, that can be very, very, very dangerous in terms of repair terms, not in terms of safety, but repair terms, because if this is an incompatible shingle or it voids anything in terms of manufacturer warranty or anything else in terms of building code compliance, anything like that, then you will have to come back, and I'm talking you in the general sense, you will have to come back and pull that shingle out and put something that is compatible in its place. If you hand seal everything down, you've just made a huge problem for yourself of nightmare proportions, because it basically just rips and shreds everything. So you're talking everything above it now has to be replaced because of that hand sealing. Hand sealing is very effective, but sometimes a little too effective. So just keep in mind, if you're watching this and you're going to do hand sealing, you got to make 100% sure that the materials you're putting in are compatible with everything else around it. Otherwise, you could end up causing damage and doing more harm than good. So we're going to, if you want to go and get that shingle from up top there, we're going to bring the shingle down. It's important to note when we're doing this that we're determining whether or not the roof itself as a whole is repairable. Now, according to the National Academy of Forensic Engineers, they've identified some criteria for us. So I will write that out in blue chalk. Actually, over here, we're kind of running out of space. So I'll write that up over here. The first one everybody always likes to talk about is creasing. Next, we have tearing. That usually occurs at the nail heads. We have cracking. Now, cracking is usually if the shingles are very, very old or brittle. That usually replaces cracking. We have mat transfer, material transfer. We'll get into that in a minute. And then we have granule loss. So granule loss is when the granules from the tab start coming down. Typically, granule loss is the first form of damage from a shingle. When it lifts up, the granules start coming down. Once enough granules come out, then it starts to form a crease. Then ultimately you have the exposed fiberglass mat, and eventually the tab flies off, as you see up there. So, and we do have quite a few missing shingles on this roof already. Material transfer is an interesting one, because when you're doing an inspection, there's some entities will say material transfer is not from storm. Some entities will say yes, it can be from storm. When you're talking about a repair attempt, that's a horse of different color, because when you break the seal here, that's mechanical action. That's actually you try not to cause material transfer. But what is material transfer? It's the adhesive here that when you lift that, it's strong enough that it pulls material shingle residue from the bottom up with it. So it's like gluing two boards together. When you pull them apart, they kind of take splinters with each other. Or you glue two pieces of cardboard together. Same thing. When you pull them apart, they take pieces of cardboard with each other. Same thing happens with a shingle. When you lift that with the tool, it can take bits of shingle with it as well, either top and or bottom. So what happens is both these shingles end up getting damaged. Now on this one, it's not a particular big issue because this is one that's getting taken out. But then this one ended up getting damaged. So that leads us to why this bottom shingle, or actually two shingles, is included in the scope, because we have to break the seal here to get this whole shingle out. And if this shingle here or that shingle there is damaged from material transfer, then it has to be included as damage in the overall scope of things. Now we're going to try not to do that. That's the whole point of this. But it is one of those things that we need to be on the lookout for. So if we see any of those things, then we're going to stop. We're going to pause. We'll bring the camera in over. I'll point it out so you can see what it is. Then we'll keep going. If there turns out to be just catastrophic damage before we actually get the shingle out, we'll stop, because we're not in the business of just wrecking roofs for the sake of putting a shingle in. So one of the other criteria here that I didn't list was delamination. Delamination does not apply for 3-tab roofs like this one is. That's typical for a laminate shingle. So because we're dealing with 3 tabs, we don't have to worry about delamination. So moving on to our tools that we have here. We have the green roofing snake from Pack Tool. We have my hammer that I use. That's not actually technically a roofing hammer. It is one I use. It's been in my family for generations, and generations as plural. I'll explain why, if we need to, why I use that versus a regular roofing hammer, and a box of brand new roofing nails. Don't ever use old nails when you're doing repairs. This is bad practice. Here we have our shingle that we're going to use. This is a GAF Royal Sovereign. We got it from our distributor. This is the newest one. It looks pretty similar. This is not a matching state, so we're not particularly concerned about color, although we do like to get colors as close to as possible. It's just a courtesy that we provide to the homeowners. Nobody likes a big zit on their roof, or like a patchwork. That looks ugly, and you drive by and you say, "What the heck is that?" It's sloppy. So again, it's a courtesy. It's not anything to do with what we're doing, except that it's just something nice we look out for the homeowners for. Moving on over here, we have a control square. Now we're not going to touch this. We're not going to walk on it until the very end. We've identified there's a damaged tab over there. So it's similar in size and scope to the working area we'll be working on. So we'll be able to see about before and after to determine, did anything we do, is it related, or is it just all naturally occurring? Now we chose the front slope here, and the left side, or actually it's the right side, but this side of this feature for a couple reasons. One, it's the lowest visibility from the street. Typically, again, we try to, when we're doing things like this, we try to avoid places that are high visibility from the street. So again, the homeowner doesn't have a big obvious stain or spot or something like that on their roof. That's just common courtesy. Also, and more importantly, is you want to do a spot here when you're assessing for repairs, the best condition for the roof. Now, this is something that we try to err in favor of the insurance carrier, because you typically want to go what's most representative of the roof. Now, this roof isn't in pristine shape. It's old. It's seen some better days, but so we should be probably, if we're being totally fair, go a section of the roof that is in less good condition. I'm not using great grammar, but we should go a condition that's not as good as this section. This facet is the facet that's in the best condition for this roof, but we wanted to give this assessment the best chance of passing. We do that because we try to be honest with the roof and honest with ourselves, but also that if this section, if this repairability does end up failing, then it does show that because this is the best condition section of the roof, there's no hope for any other part of the roof. And that is fairly conclusive. The NAFE, the National Academy of Forensic Engineers, makes it very, very clear that the repairability assessment is meant to be a proof of principle, not just a single spot repair. So that's kind of why we chose this section as opposed to like any of the other spots all over this roof. And there's quite a few damaged shingles on this roof, but we wanted to pick the best possible option for passing a repair attempt or a shingle repair assessment, just because we try to be honest with things and give things the best chance of passing. So now I'm not a fan of the roof snake, and you'll see why. So if the roof snake itself starts to cause damage, and not just be difficult to use, but cause damage, then we will abandon it and use other tools or use other methods. But as long as we can get it to work and not have any serious issues, we'll keep using it. So at this point, I'm going to hand the camera off to the cameraman. And as long as the cameraman can see me, and most importantly, the scope of work, then we will be okay. The first thing you notice, first thing I said I'll do is I'm going to break all the seals. Some of them may be lifted already. If that's the case, that's the case. It's just the way it is. You'll notice that when I'm doing this, I have my hand over each tab. I'm not pressing into the tab. What I'm doing is I'm acting as a guard. Typically, when you're breaking these shingles, sometimes they can be stuck down a bit. That's good. That shows the glue or the adhesive is holding it down well. But when you're popping these up, the temptation is to put a little too much pressure on, and if you're popping it too hard, or you sneeze or cough or sudden movement for whatever reason, you can jerk it up too hard, and then either a flat bar or the roof snake here can puncture it, can tear it, can rip it. So you put your hand here just as a guard, like as a protection. Just be careful if you have nails. I don't, but if you have nails, don't put your fingers like this. That can dig in and artificially make it look like there's some kind of impact or scraping or something like that, and you don't want to screw up your results. So put your hand here, just very lightly touch it, and like so. There you go. And that comes up a little too easy for my liking, but such as it is. Oh, you know what? We're gonna have to seal those down. So, go. So one thing that I did, that one was already lifted. One thing that I did was, and I'll have to correct my mistake because I broke seals here, 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 and here. Those didn't need to be broken. So fortunately we do have sealant in our truck, so I'll just go back and seal those at the end of this. It's important to, when you're being honest with yourself on a roof, it's always important to admit when you make a small mistake. And yeah, well, we'll move on, but I don't think there's any mat transfer. It didn't feel like it, so fortunately I don't think the issue is too big. I'm just lifting it about 1.5 inches to see. There's nothing there. Nothing there. There's nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing there. Just lifting about an inch, inch and a half, less than 30 degrees. Nothing there. A tiny bit there, not worth it. Not worth pointing out. Nothing there, just lifting about 2 inches. Nothing there. Good. So we got no mat transfer. That's good. That's good. All right, so next up, we're going to use the roof snake here to pull the nails out. And again, hopefully nothing bad comes. Now you notice I'm using the roof snake to lift it. That's just kind of force of habit, but you know, whatever. Now if we do end up having, I'm putting nails there, I'll get to them later. If we do end up finding tearing, this is usually where it happens when you're pulling the nails out. You'll get tearing, what's called the nail heads, which is where the heads of nails go through the shingle. Whew. Nail is right in the nail zone, so that's good. Good sign of good install. A little bit of tearing on that one, but that's the damaged one, so that's fine. Again, nails put in properly. Shingle tore a little bit, but not too bad. Nails coming up nice and easy. Get that just about 2 inches or so. These nails are coming up nice. Nice, nice. Just how I'd like to see them come up. There's 2 nails here because there's a shingle break. Tore a little bit. Once I get these 2 nails out, I'll have you come over to the camera. I'll get this other nail out first. There is mat transfer here. I missed it before. That one tore too. Trying to be gentle. Trying to be gentle. Alright, so why don't you come over here for a minute. Be able to see it's a little bit of mat transfer right there. That's just a tiny little bit. But right here, you see right there my finger? Right there, are you able to see on the camera my finger? So right there, that fraying, that's a little bit of tearing. Not a huge amount. If that's the only thing we got, then I'm not going to call that a fail. But that is tearing going on. All right, you can go back. Good? Okay. And only lifting a few inches. That tore even worse. Wow. All right. As gentle as we can be. All right, come on over here again. I'll try to show you. So, we have from here to there, there's another tear. So it's about, I don't want to lift that up too much. It's about that wide, if you can see in the camera. So about the width, a little bit more than my thumb from there. You can see my finger coming through. That's no good. Should be 2 more up. That'll be stubborn. I think we're good. Yep. Alright, didn't tear that one. That's good. And that's the last one. So this should come out, being knocked upward, pretty easily now. Good. Alright. Now, let's look at it for a minute. Again, no real major signs of mat transfer. I do want to show you what some of this tearing look like here. Right there, that tear there, and tear there. Again, so this is the one that's coming out, but that is kind of representative of what, you just keep the scope in view there. Just going to take this up to the ridge. That is representative of what the other tears look like. Alright. Alright, so what we're going to do is just kind of brush some of this stuff off. Always nice to have a clean slate. Now the nails are right in the nailing zone. That's good to see. And our new shingle. GF Royal Sovereign. Nice. Thank you. There you go. Alrighty. Now the box of nails, pardon me. Thank you. Okay. So the way to use a roof snake is designed to prevent creasing, which is all well and good, right? So you lift up the shingle and you lift up the shingle and you slip this under it, right? Then you put the roof snake on the roofing deck, then you hammer, and I'm just barely tapping right now, I don't want to be railing on it, until it goes in. The idea is you don't have to lift the shingle up 40 or so degrees to expose the fasteners. There are a couple problems. So I'll use one of the nails that came out here. Remember, we're not going to ever use this when we're actually doing the work. First problem is the nails, when you're doing a nailing job, they have to go perpendicular. All right. Every shingle manufacturer in the country says, and any carpenter worth his beans will tell you, that a nail has to be driven perpendicular. If you don't, it's a bad nailing job. It'll cause leaks. It'll damage the shingles above it. Just a whole world of problems you open up if you don't go in perpendicular. So as you can see from here, it's going at an angle right now. So in order to nail this properly, I've got to lift it up and hold it. Right? So if I can see it, yeah, it's still a pain in the neck, but not that big of a problem. I can adjust as I'm hitting it like this. Right? And then ultimately, once it gets driven in far enough, then I take this off the nail head, I put it back on there, I hold here, and then I drive it. So that's the theory. Problem is I can't see what I'm doing. It's sitting like this. So I have no idea whether I'm straight. I can get a pretty good idea, but pretty good doesn't necessarily always cut it. Now sometimes it does, but not always. The bigger problem is, and let me back a little bit. So what you often get is either misdriven nails, or more likely is bent nails. And then a bent nail, you can sometimes correct for a misdriven nail, but you can't correct for a bent nail. The nail has to be pulled, and now you have a hole. And every time you have a hole in a roof, that's a spot where water is going to come in, and you've just created a likelihood for a leak. So we are not in the business of putting holes in roofs. We're in the business of fixing roofs, right? And not causing problems. However, if you can drive the nail properly, and I've succeeded sometimes, so don't want to assume things, but if you can drive the nail properly, the prescribed method, as I said before, is to place it like so and to drive here. However, when you're driving and striking here, the kinetic force translates down here and also it's like you're also striking here. Now this metal on these asphalt shingles causes crushed granules here. Not every single time, but enough. Now what do crushed granules look like? Well, they look an awful lot like hail. Now, having looked at it and seen it, we know it's not hail. And it doesn't really matter what it looks like. It could look like hail. It could look like somebody dropping a hammer. It could look like elephants tap dancing. What it is impact damage. And what's the magic word after impact but damage? So what's the point of this tool is to avoid damage. What's the point of a repair is to not cause damage. But if we have a tool that is being prescribed by an insurance carrier, by a contractor, by somebody, and that tool then causes damage, then we're at a net loss. Even if we end up not causing creasing, and maybe it does cause creasing, we don't know. But if this tool then causes a different kind of damage that's not even on our criteria of what is damage and what is not, then it's a net loss for everybody. So now we're going to do our level best to drive the nails in, and if we can get all the nails in, great. If not, we're going to give it 3 shots. If we have badly driven nails or bent nails 3 times, we're just going to call it, because that's damage, right? That's a problem. If there is impact damage as well, we'll designate and identify that. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get all the nails in using the roof snake. And don't put nails in your mouth. That's fine there. Okay. There. Now I'm sitting a little lower so I can see it a little better. Set that down. I think it's straight. I can't really see it, but we'll see. It's straight. All right. Cool. Alrighty. Now, notice I was here. Cameraman, you want to come over here? I was sitting like this. I pull it over. Look right there. See that? That right there is impact damage. Oh, wow. Look at that huge divot. My goodness, right there. That is impact damage right there. 3 hits caused impact damage. I got the nail in though. So yeah, hooray. But it's impact damage. So, but we'll keep going. Yeah. No worries. See if I can get it. It's a little crooked. See if I can accommodate. How much I'm going to lift that shingle. There we go. Okay. 2 hits. All right, 2 hits. Once again, going over here. See that? Right there. That's even worse than the other one. Wow. Okay. But we're not getting creasing. I'm not ducking down, so I'm going to have a hard time. Missed it. Yep. A harder time seeing it. Get it back up. Really? Man, this thing is squirrely. All right. Got it? I got it. Okay. I'm getting good at this. Good, it's in. Is it impact damage? A little bit there on the edge, but I think we actually avoided it that time. Alrighty. Keep on trucking, baby. Keep on trucking. Alright. Yeah, I got impact damage here. The nail went in. But we do have impact damage here as well. Right there. Mercy. Got it. 3 hits. Nails in. Wow, look at that right there. That's the worst one of them all yet. 3 hits. Holy smokes. Alright, so just as a test, I'm going to put this aside because we have 1, 2, 3, 4 impact hits. I'm going to see if I can do this without. I'm going to walk around behind you. Just keep the work in view there. Get my box of nails. I'm going to see if I can get nails in without creasing it. I'm pretty confident I can. Okay. So nailing from the side as opposed to straight on allows me to lift not as high. You also notice this is where my own roofing hammer comes in handy now, because the curved handle doesn't stick up straight like this. allows me to lift this hammer, this tab, not quite as much. That's why I love this hammer. Not the fact that my granddad gave it to me. Once again, not lifting up more than 30 degrees. Oh, okay, so come right in here. You can see right there the tear. That right there is a tear from here. That may actually be a crease. We'll see when we're done here. That was one of the ones that the roof snake was working on. Is that? Yeah, that's it. Okay. So, now, let's assess. I'll do some circling first. So we have impact damage, actually that is impact damage, huh? Every one. Impact damage, big impact damage. We have damage there. Do you have any creasing on here? No, that's just coercion. No, so I didn't cause any creasing by lifting it. So before I touch it, how do we determine granule loss? First, do we have creasing? The answer is not really. We have a little bit here. We have a little bit here. We'll know once we do a check for granule loss. So I don't want to say we don't have creasing. We have potential creasing at this moment. We have some tearing. We saw that before. What we don't have for sure, we don't have cracking, and we don't have material transfer, mat transfer. So those are the two things we can rule out completely. But granule loss, this is a big one. So this is an older roof. We need to be a little gentle with this. All right, this is like your geriatric patient where you need to be a little more gentle, a little more kind, a little slower, a little nicer, because you're always going to have some amount of granule loss on an old roof. Now, what does that mean? Right, so does that mean, well, what it doesn't mean is cascading granules. So let's come over here where we weren't working. How do we check for granule loss? Is simple, we just tap it, right? So zoom in real close here. And as I'm tapping here, see there's some granules coming down. Not a whole lot though. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe a dozen or so. All right, come down over here. This is where we're working, so it's been disturbed. Let's go over and try to keep that in view as much as you can. Over here. And again, tapping, a little bit of granules, not a whole lot, right? Now, the work area should look very similar. Now, there's going to be a little bit of conflation here because of my chalk, but starting the low and going up high. Now, this is the new one, so we shouldn't have any granule loss there. But starting down up here, because it's the work area. And we do have, that's my chalk there, but we do have, oh my gosh, look at that. We'll start over here where you can see it. Look at those oh my gosh, look at those granules that's coming down. Some of that's my chalk, a lot of those are the granules. Wow, you can see them flying down. The wind's taking them away. Look at those granules coming down. Not so much on that one, that's fine. And that one's out of the scope. And then we knocked off most of the granules, maybe not. Here. As we're tapping, you can kind of see, blow the chalk out of there. You can kind of see now that we have this crease that was hiding. That's why granule loss is a precursor to creasing. So when we said initially that granule loss happens before creasing, sometimes granule loss just hides creasing, as happened here. We have creasing here actually, it's very faint, but when we tapped it and showed the granules coming out, we have granule loss here. So do we have granule loss? Yeah, we do. So there's granule loss right here. There's granule loss up there. And there's a little bit of granule loss up here. So what do we have here? We have Granule Loss. We have a crease. We have a crease here. We have a small crease forming there with the Granule Loss. And we do have some tearing at the nail heads, which we showed you already. As well as the impact damage from the tool. So that wasn't even part of the criteria, but it was caused during the actual repair. So, you know, yeah, we can put that in there too. For impact. Now, let's go over, before we say whether this is a fail or not, let's go over to our control square. So follow me on over to the control square. So let's see what we got. So, do we have any of those things? We have crease. This was our damaged, right? We don't have any other creasing. We're not going to try to show mat transfer. That wasn't even an issue. Or cracking. We don't have any tearing. And so let's do a tap test here. Let's do a tap test. That's my chalk. I don't have anything. A little bit there. That's my chalk again. That's from the crease itself. So there's not a whole lot of granule loss other than what we saw the other parts of the roof where we did a similar tap test. So there's no granule loss here. Not anything close to when that other the work area. So what can we conclude? Well, according to the National Academy of Forensic Engineers, 1 damage is as good as 5 damage. What that means is, here, I'll get down here so you can kind of have me, you know. 1 damage is as good as 5 damage. And what that means is you don't need to have all 5 forms of damage. You could have 1 form of damage in several shingles, or you could have all 5 in different shingles. As long as you have, say, creasing on this, and this, then that counts as this many shingles. Or you could have creasing on 1, tearing on 2, and granule loss on 1. That would be 4, and so on. So that's kind of how they count things. So what we have here is, well, shoot, every single shingle that's been involved has been affected negatively, has been damaged. The shingles outside the scope here were damaged because of the tool that we had to use. There's granule loss, there's tearing along the nail beds, there's creasing forming at least on 2. So this is going to be categorized as a fail. This, by the standards set forth by the National Academy of Forensic Engineers, is a failed repair. The assessment is that this is not repairable roof as a whole. We can extrapolate to the entire roofing system, the front, the back, the lower, the left, the right, the whole shebang in this one. This would also cause a catastrophic cascade. So it's not just one, we apply it to everyone. This one down here, it would ripple up to the left and up to the right and straight up as well, all the way up to the ridge. The ones that's over there, the same thing. So this represents a total loss in terms of the roof. There's nothing we can do to repair it, no matter how careful we are. We were very, very gentle and diligent to try to protect this roof section from damage. However, as you saw, there's nothing else for it. So at this point, our recommendation is going to be moved from repairs and onto replacement. If you have any questions, please give us a call, give us a text, give us an email. We're very, very responsive. Otherwise, see you all around the horn.